Round 20 of the Rejectcar Elite Series heads to the Estoril Raceway in Spain for a 21-lap affair. Alex Constantine was on pole for the race, and this is the first time the Estoril racetrack has held a Major League stock car race since, I believe, 2008. So I'm pretty sure the Spanish crowd is definitely happy to have some racing back in their home country. As Alex Constantine gets away from outside pole sitter Keon Parker as the field drives off into turn 3 here. Jacob Lauren, who's Alex Constantine's teammate, started in the top 5 for the first time in what seems like forever. However, Dustin Harris didn't appreciate being outran in qualifying, I guess, as he runs into the 80 coming into turn 4 for no apparent reason whatsoever. I don't know what the deal is with Dustin Harris today. Devereaux Hall is making a rare start in the Rejectcar Elite Series. His driver, Kareem Abdul-Najjar, was suspended after his actions at Concord last time out. So Devereaux Hall decided to take his place and will race today. It is a one-race suspension for Kareem, who will be back next race. And Devereaux Hall did an okay job of qualifying. Qualified just inside the top 20. And he's just looking to log some laps and just have a quiet day today, as he's running behind Valor Christensen in the 95. Daisuke Hiroshima in the 30 car. This is on lap 1. Decides to overrun one of the tight hairpins and run into the 13 of Russ Palmer and spin himself out. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, who knows. Maybe some of these drivers are jet lagged from the long flight that we had to come here. Dominic Malchulitz is another driver making a rare start today. He is taking over for Jordan Kosovo, who was sidelined from this race due to a concussion after the Concord race when he was involved in an accident with Jackson Williams, in which he hit the pit road attenuator. So Malchulitz is in this race. He's not doing so well right now. He's just outside the top 20. So he's just another driver kind of logging some laps here. Antonio Gutierrez, another driver making a rare start. He's one of the reserve drivers for the Southern State Racing Team. Dale Tager will be sidelined for the next 3 races due to a back injury he sustained at Concord when he was just ran over under caution by Kareem Abdul-Najjar and Garrett Banks. So Gutierrez will fill in for him today. Not too sure who's going to fill in the next 2 races, though. This might be just a one-and-done thing for Gutierrez. Max Verthrowen having a decent start to his race, and he was also the surprise winner at Concord, thanks to the leaders getting wrecked by a lap car. And he's looking to keep the momentum up as he's inside the top 10 right now. He's currently running in 6th behind Jake Blondie, who's having a pretty good run so far, along with the 38 of Dong Hui Who's Your Daddy. But the rumor mill that Max Verthrowen will be leaving the Code of Valor Mosports team is starting to pick up steam, because even though he does have a win, he's still butting heads with his team owners. So, and this scenario might not help his case, as he's going to run wide in the final corner here. He's going to brush into the tire wall here. He's going to try to rejoin the racetrack and gets run over by Jay Baldy in the 45, and both of them go spinning down the front straightaway here. Thankfully, none of them hit, no other drivers hit them, but kind of a, they go from winning a race to making a pretty bad blunder the next race is definitely something Verthrowen definitely didn't need. And Jay Baldy was just kind of either in the way or just not paying attention there. Alex Constantine continues to lead here. This is on lap 7 of the race, as he's going to run off the last corner as well. He's going to try to keep it off the tire wall. He's barely going to miss it as Keon Parker goes by. And here comes Goose Honkboy, who nearly runs into the 76. Goose Honkboy is actually filling in for Garrett Banks, who was also suspended from this race due to his actions at Concord. And Alex Constantine, 3 laps later on lap 10, would bring the field down, or would start off green flag pit stops, as his teammate Jacob Lauren follows him in. Expect some of the other leaders towards the back end of the field to come in. There's Ashton Russell in the 50. And on the next lap, lap 11, Keon Parker would dive into the pits and bring the rest of the leaders down for their green flag pit stop. Goose Honkboy's in. Eric Hawkinson having a great day so far in the 18. Dustin Harris and Jake Blondie, the Alpha Male Racing cars, are having a good day so far. And after the pit cycle, Keon Parker remains the leader. In the 14, he's got about a 2.5 second gap over the 64 of Goose Honkboy, who's having a really good day today. He hasn't had a run this good since, I believe, Kentucky. But Keon Parker is looking for, I believe, his 3rd win of the season. Jake Blondie, who's he's had a horrendous season, is actually running really well. He's running inside the top 5. However, he's going to run off the racetrack in the final corner. He's going to try to keep it off the wall here. Ashton Russell's going to drive by him. He's going to come back across the racetrack, makes contact with the 30 at Dong Hui Who's Your Daddy, but no major incident there. as Baldy's going to fall down to 7th place. However, he's about to be challenged by John Baldy Jr. in 8th. And even after the pit cycle, no one could catch the 14 of Keon Parker as he rounds the final corner here. Keon Parker comes down the front straightaway here and will take his third win of the season, and I believe the 4th win for the Dworkin Racing team this season. And here are the results from Estoril. Keon Parker wins the race. Eric Hawkinson comes home in a 2nd place finish. I believe that's his best finish of the season, if I'm not mistaken. He managed to pass Goose Honkboy in the last few laps. But a great run for Goose Honkboy. I believe that's his best career finish. Alice Constantine comes home in 4th. Jacob Lauren comes home in 5th. So that's a Constantine Motorsport top 5. Dustin Harris 6th. Ashton Russell 7th. Dongwei Who's Your Daddy 8th. John Baldy Jr. comes home at 9th. So he's definitely building on his points lead. And Jake Blondie comes home in 10th. So it makes it a double top 10 for the Alpha Male Racing team. Round 21 of the Rejectcar Elite Series heads to Chicago, Illinois for a 79-lap race around the Chicagoland Speedway. Tony Baloney was on pole in a kind of a big surprise with Stephen Bennett to his outside. Baxter Throwen started in 3rd, trying to rebound after his little blunder at Estoril last time out, as he's going to get a draft behind the 19 of Tony Baloney as the field fans out. 3 wide behind him already. Looks like everybody just wants to go to the front very early. John Baldy Jr. dives underneath the 46 of Garrett Banks to try to take the lead. Contact between Baxter Throwen and Tony Baloney. Good job for Baloney to save that car, but here comes Garrett Banks, who's going to pass him on the outside. That could have been a scary wreck in front of the whole field here, as Baloney's just getting bullied by the rest of the field. Garrett Banks takes off with the lead. Jacob Lawrence on the outside has to check up. So Throwen's finally going to get around the 19. Here comes John Baldy Jr., bringing Zalon Foster with him. A really sketchy start to begin this race. Now has Garrett Banks as leader, and the pole sitter is already down to the 6th place here. Here's Ashton Russell in the 50 car running towards about midfield here. Contact between the 18 and 73. He takes Ashton Russell hard into the outside wall and causes a big pileup on lap 2 coming out of turn 4. Jay Baldy's involved. Ronnie Hawkins, Jareem Abdul-Sagar, Jackson Maitland. One of the Dworkin Racing cars is involved. As we're focused on the 82 of Kareem Abdul-Najjar, who's back from his suspension. He gets hooked by the 01 of Clay Marcellus and ends up turning the 22 of Jose Rodriguez in a domino effect. But it looks like minimal damage to the 82, so he's going to continue on. Eric Hawkinson's day is done. Here's Jackson Maitland, and towards the back end of the field, he just gets hooked by the 30 of Dong Point Who's Your Daddy. That's what caused the big stack up behind the original wreck. Ashton Russell's day would be done. He would be complaining of some soreness in his neck, but other than that, he was checked and released from the infield care center. There's Joe Vivek in the 37 with damage. The field did come down pit road after that big wreck, and so Jordan Kosovo will restart with the lead on lap 6. Kareem Abdul-Najjar restarted in 2nd despite being involved in the first wreck. Here's Garrett Banks, who restarted 3rd, and he's going to try to get the 82 and 71 in 2 corners. He's got a big run coming down the back straightaway here, which isn't really a straight, it's more of a slight curve in it, as the 46 is going to dive underneath the 71 to take the lead back. So Kosovo's time at the front was all for naught. And here comes 83 of Zalon Foster, who's having a sneaky good run to start the race already. Here's Tommy Salami in the 9 car. He is on his final independent start, and he's the only one who can realistically challenge Wes Miller for the Independence Trophy here today. He's down by 25 points, so he needs to finish inside the top 13 in order to take the Independence Trophy away from the 220 car. And currently he's doing that right now. He's running just inside the top 10 here as he gets 9th away from the 71 of Jordan Kosovo. T Scorpio is also in this race with an outside chance to get the Independence Trophy lead. Harry gets turned around by the 82 of Kareem Abdul-Najjar. It's going to set off another big wreck down the back straightaway. Tommy Salami's involved, Jordan Kosovo, and here comes the rest of the field. Kevin Flagrant's upside down, flipping down the back straightaway. Dustin Harris is involved, and a multiple of other cars. The 57 of Bryce Fencing is also involved. Here's another look at it. Looks like Joey Davison hooked the 82 and just got the 7, spun him around. Tommy Salami just gets punted by his own teammate. And then all hell breaks loose down the back straightaway going into turn 3. Kevin Flagrant's upside down. Dustin Harris just got hit by the 13 of Russ Palmer. And here's Jordan Kosovo, who was just leading not that long ago. Just nowhere to go for him, and just the whole track clogs up. Tavion Cobb gets involved. The 71 almost goes over. I see a bunch of other cars. Jackson Maitland comes flying in along with the 13. That will take Maitland, Palmer, Tavion Cobb in a 40 out of the race, along with the 61 of Cooper Key. After that big mess, Alex Constantine would be the leader on the restart. The field did come down pit road again, mainly to check for make sure they didn't run over any debris. Max Throwing is restarted in second. John Baldy Jr. is restarted in third. He's definitely doing whatever it takes to try to lock up the championship early, as he's running inside the top 5 in the early stages of the race. Dungway, Who's Your Daddy, is having a great run to start and restarted in fourth, as Max Throne is going to dive underneath the 76 of Alex Constantine, who hasn't had any luck since his D&Q at Cariolo, which was quite a while back, but he's trying to redeem himself in some way. Here's Zeke Miller in the 73 with damage, trying to put her along here, and then he gets spun around by the 21. Sincere Fox comes back in front of traffic, gets flipped over by the 42 of Ronnie Hawkins, and goes sliding down the front straightaway here on lap 14, as he's going to do a couple barrel rolls onto the apron and land back on all fours. Kind of a bizarre incident here on lap 14 to bring out the third caution of the day. Yeah, it looks like Sincere Fox just ran over the 73, and poor Ronnie Hawkins, with just nowhere to go, ends up spearing the 73 in a driver's door and flips him over. Kareem Abdul-Najjar involved in another wreck. That's the third one today. Ronnie Hawkins would continue on despite that front-end damage. However, Zeke Miller would be done for the day. After another pit cycle, Joey Davidson would be the leader on the restart. The 45 of Jay Baldy is the last car on the lead lap, so he's on the tail end of the lead lap. I don't know why I said that twice. But it wouldn't matter anyway, because Joey Davidson gets underneath the 45 to put him a lap down officially. Gustavo Silva Rodriguez restarted a lap down. However, he got in front of the 44. He's going to try to stay on the lead lap, so he's going to do whatever he can to stay ahead of the 44. Stephen Bennett and Valor Christensen battle for second as they go off into turn 3 here. Davidson's looking for another great run and possibly get his first career win, as he's been sneakily strong this weekend. Sincere Fox restarted inside the top 10. However, that car has rear end damage, and so he's falling through the field very quickly. Sincere Fox has not had a good run at all since his upset win at Spa-Francorchamps back last season in his debut. It's been a struggle for the Guiding Winds racing team. Everyone picked him to be the favorite to win the Independence Trophy. However, this season has not gone their way, as we got Garrett Banks and Francesco Valentino battling over real estate here. The 46 dumps the 4 of Francesco Valentino, and then he gets hit in the passenger door by Alex Constantine, goes flipping down the racetrack in front of the rest of the field. Clay Marcellus then launches the 4 of Francesco Valentino. A scary wreck on lap 28 brings out the 4th caution of the day. Here's the helmet cam, Clay Marcellus here, trying to figure his way through, and there's the 4 just appearing out of nowhere, just spinning like a top. Thankfully, that hit was toward the back end of the car, but still a frightening incident here. This is the spectator cam off the grandstand off of turn 4. Just a massive wreck, just nowhere to go for the rest of the field. Oh, man. You can see how far the 4 launched there after the 01. The race was red flagged for about 45 minutes to get Francesco out of his car. He had to be airlifted to a local hospital. We have no word on his medical condition. After the red flag, Joey Davidson would lead the field back down to the restart as he gets ahead of Gustavo Silva Rodriguez, who's still the first car 1 lap down. And he's going to use the 20 to have him as a buffer between him and second place Stephen Bennett. Davidson's still looking for that first career win, as I mentioned earlier, and today could be the day he might get it. However, with how the race has been going along, attrition could rear its ugly head here. Davidson would lead for about 15 laps, but then his teammate, Zaylen Foster in the 83, would run him down and try to get the lead away from him. Foster used drafting help from the 20 of Gustavo Silva Rodriguez, who, despite being a lap down, is on equal pace with the leaders. It's just some damage and a long pit stop put him a lap down here, so if he wasn't a lap down, he'd be fighting for the win here. As Davidson checks up in turn 4, here comes Zaylen Foster in the 83. He's got help from the 20, who's going to push him straight by his own teammate. But then there goes the 20 of Gustavo Silva Rodriguez to jump under the 83. Whoa! A little scary moment there as the 20 had to check up, and Joey Davidson nearly forced it 3 wide. That might have been a disaster. However, with these 3 racing as hard as they have, here comes the rest of the top 5. John Baldy Jr., Valor Christensen, and Garrett Banks have now inserted themselves into the battle for the lead here, as the 20 of Gustavo Silva Rodriguez has finally gotten clear and is now back on the lead lap. Joey Davidson would still continue to lead here on about lap 50. And then here gets contact with Kareem Abdul-Najjar on lap 52. I don't know what was going on here. Kareem was just wasn't paying attention, and he just pinched the 44 into the wall. And Kareem goes spinning there. There's Valor Christensen, who just flips the 82 over after hitting him in the passenger door here. There's another spin further up the racetrack here. As Stephen Bennett, who's running in the top 10 all day here, sees the 95 coming down, makes an evasive move, but there's the 05 of Derek Lewis, and they happen to be in the same spot and sends both of them into the outside wall. That's a big shame for Bennett and Lewis, who are having great runs today, just completely undone because, well, Kareem didn't know what he was doing on the racetrack and just completely failed to notice where the leader was going. Anyway, despite the contact with Kareem Abdul-Najjar, Joey Davidson would still lead on the restart here. However, he's got a little bit of right side damage that could hinder him for the rest of the race. As Garrett Banks gets a decent restart, is right on his back bumper coming off turn 2 here. And there goes the 46 of Garrett Banks, the 2009 Series champion, and a lot of people think might retire after this season. He's trying to get one more championship run before he hangs it up, supposedly. As Joey Davidson is now starting to fall back, John Baldy Jr. has now inserted himself in the second. So we have a lot of storylines here. Jose Rodriguez in the 22. He's not a lap down. He's actually on the lead lap and is battling in the top 5. So a great run for the Southern State Racing number 22 car. Garrett Banks continues to lead here. As we now come to the white flag lap, a lot of changes have happened because the 83 of Zalen Foster and the 94 Max Trethrowen have inserted themselves inside the top 3. But Garrett Banks has been untouchable since the last restart. Can Foster and Trethrowen make a miracle run to try to get past the 46? They're going to need to help each other going into turn 3 here. But Trethrowen's going to try to pass the 83, and he ends up checking up, which would kill their momentum here. And coming off turn 4, Garrett Banks, coming off a suspension, would take the win here in Chicagoland. And here are the results from Chicago. Garrett Banks takes the win. That's his second win of the season. That was his first win since Grand Detour. Zalen Foster comes home in second, so close to that first win. Max Trethrowen comes home in third, so a great rebound after Estoril. John Baldy Jr. keeps adding to his points lead with a 4th place finish. Jose Rodriguez comes home in 5th. Derek Lewis, despite having damage, comes home in 6th. Joey Davidson lost the handling of his car, so he fell all the way to 7th. Daisuke Hiroshimi comes home in 8th in a great run for the Big Bang Racing team. Stephen Bennett comes home in 9th, also with damage. And somehow, someway, Sincere Fox gets his first top 10, and that's his first top 10 since Watkins Glen back last season. Round 22 of the Rejectcar Elite Series heads to the Trois-Rivieres Raceway in Quebec. And right off the start, before we even got the green flag, Ronnie Hawkins and Stephen Bennett decided to put each other into the outside wall. I don't know what that was about, but Ronnie Hawkins earned a trip to the hauler before the green flag even flew. Asher Russell was on pole for this race with Jay Baldy, who started to his outside. This track is very short and very narrow, but it's a very technical road course here. As we got trouble in the back already, John Baldy Jr. is around. John Baldy Jr. started in 4th, but he gets hooked by the 3 of Giancarlo Valentino, who's filling in for his son Francesco Valentino, who was injured after Chicagoland. And Jackson Malin takes himself into the tire wall outside of turn 3. Here's another look at it. Just overdrives turn 3 and goes into the tire wall. Zico Ronadima Somaina, Joe Vivek, Axe Volkel, and Zeke Miller, who's in contention for the championship, has got damage. As he's a little slow coming off the out of turn 3 here after the damage. Quickly touch back on Giancarlo Valentino. Francesco Valentino was injured after Chicagoland, and his injuries were severe enough to keep him out of his ride for the rest of the season. So his father, Giancarlo Valentino, will take over for the rest of the season. Here is Nick Nickerson, the controversial team owner for the Southern State Racing team, filling in for his driver, Dale Tager, who is expected to be back at the next race. Nickerson is running a slightly different scheme than what we're used to. He usually runs some pretty unusual sayings on his car, and since we're in Quebec, they took one look at his race car and said, you need to change it, and so he's running a different livery. And Taro Keiko, one of the Finnish engineering cars, gets hooked by Max Trethrowen in the 94 and taken into the inside wall, and that will end Taro Keiko's day, who's had a horrendous season. He got injured at Daytona to start the season, and the Finnish engineering team just has had no pace all season. As we got a stack up in the final corner here, or second to last corner here. Jordan Cuswell to 71 runs the last corner wide and goes into the tire barrier, and that's going to completely kill his car, and he's going to stop in the middle of the racetrack here. I'm not too sure what that was about. That earned Cuswell a trip to the hollow here. Nick Nickerson, who was just in front of him, also went out of the race after hitting that tire wall. Ashton Russell continues to lead. He's got a pretty sizable gap over Jay Baldy in the 45. Ashton Russell's looking for his first win since Talladega last season, and Jay Baldy is still looking for his first career win, even though his older brother John has had, I believe, 3 race wins and is the points leader coming into this race. Lap 5, Russ Palmer runs turn 3 a little bit wide and goes straight into the tire barrier, and that will take Russ Palmer out of the race. Here's Niga Durkistan, one of the other independents in the race today. He's going to make contact with the 86 Dream Mendoza Cigar and take each other into the tire barrier. Zico Ranadima Somaina also collected. John Baldy Jr. has to hit the brakes to avoid him. Ashton Russell is stuck behind the slow 77. Can't figure out how to get by him here. And here comes the 45 of Jay Baldy as he's just going to he's going to blow past the 50 of Ashton Russell after he slowed up. He's going to try to get past the 22 of Jose Rodriguez to basically get a buffer in between him and the 50 car. And they're going to force it 3 wide through the, I think this turn 9 with the 67. As Jay Baldy now has control of the race as he's still trying to get by the 22. And he nearly hits the tire wall off turn 10. But new leader, 45 Jay Baldy. And could this be the day he finally gets his first career win? He's been asking for it, and he thinks he's definitely felt like he's deserved one, as he's going to kick off green flag pit stops here on lap 11 of the race. Ashton Russell, and I believe that's Keon Parker, follow him. He comes out of the pits, hits the end of the pit wall, and it gets run into by the 37 of Joe Vivic. Ashton Russell in the 50 is also around in the back. So the top 2 leaders hit the end of the pit wall and just make big blunders. And now both of them have damage. Jay Baldy's got the whole rear end smashed in. Ashton Russell has both left side and right side damage. So pretty unusual here as Jay Baldy overruns turn 8. And now the 40, that's Tavion Cobb, who's jumped into second place through the pit strategy, is now going to try to pass the 45. He's going to try to pass him on the outside here, which that's kind of a ballsy thing to do here. With how loose the outside groove is, normally you would hit the tire wall, and he almost does coming out in the second to last corner here. Clay Marcellus is now inside the top 3, as Tavion Cobb's going to complete the pass here out of the final chicane. And there goes the 40 car. Jay Baldy has now let another lead slip away due to an incident kind of his own fault, though. And after Tavion Cobb got the lead away from Jay Baldy, he was untouchable. Nope. Clay Marcellus did try to run him down a few times. However, it would be all for naught here as Tavion Cobb weaves through the chicane for the final time. And coming down the front straightaway, Tavion Cobb will come across the line to take his second career victory and his second win of the season for the Dworkenet Racing Team here at Trois-Rivieres. And here are the results. Tavion Cobb wins the race. Clay Marcellus, if he had a couple more laps, probably would have passed the 40, but a great result for him. Gustavo Silva Rodriguez comes home in 3rd. Ashton Russell, despite having his little blunder, comes home in 4th, so a double top 5 for the Night Train Racing Team. And I believe it's the first time all season that's happened. Garrett Banks comes home in 5th after his win in Chicago. Jay Baldy still gets a top 10, comes home in 6th despite the damage. Eric Hawkinson, a quiet top 10 for him in 7th. Joey Davidson comes home in 8th for the Racing Therapy Team. Alex Constantine comes home in 9th. He ran quietly all day. And rounding out the top 10, Derek Lewis for the Oil Spill Autosport Team. And to finish off our Canadian stretch of races, round 23 of the Rejectcar Elite Series, we'll head to Mosport Raceway in Bowmanville, Ontario. Jay Baldy, who let a win slip away from him last week at Trois-Rivieres, was on pole for this race with surprisingly Jake Blondie to his outside, as Blondie's going to race Baldy pretty hard coming off the turns 1 and 2 here, and the 15 is going to get the lead after Jay Baldy ran off track briefly. Valor Christensen and Max Verthrowen, the Dakota Valor car, started 3rd and 4th, so they locked out row 2 here. And there goes the 15 of Jake Blondie with the lead of the race, and a kind of a surprise. Last week's winner, Tavion Cobb, started in 5th here. We have a Canadian in the race. Here is Xavier Degueris, who's making his first start since, I believe, Daytona at the start of the season in his own 34, which is driven under the Northern Lights Racing Team. But Xavier Degueris, giving the home crowd somebody to cheer for here. He qualified roughly around 20th, but he's slowly been making his way through the field, so at least the home crowd's got someone to cheer for here. Lap 3, Clay Marcellus and Giancarlo Valentino make contact, and both of them go into the tire wall in the second to last corner, and that would be both of their days done early. Jake Blondie continues to lead here as this is lap 5 of this race. However, he's got Valor Christensen right behind him, the Icelandic Shark, as some people have called him in the paddock due to his road course prowess, and is someone you definitely don't want to see, especially if you're leading the race. But Jake Blondie is holding a steady wheel and is not crumpling under the pressure, which most drivers couldn't do. Dale Tager is back in the Rejectcar Elite Series after being sidelined for the last 3 races due to a back injury. He finally got cleared by medical personnel, and now he's back in the race. He's having an okay race. He's just inside the top 20, but they're basically using this race for him to shake off some cobwebs here as he makes contact with the 70 of Higgin and Durkistan as he overruns the second to last corner here. But great to see Dale Tager back. He's had some flack due to being kind of a rough driver, but no one wants to see a driver get injured, so it's great to have him back on the racetrack. Lap 8, Nika Durkistan, Zalen Foster make contact, boom, go shoot over the hill, and boom, go hard into the tire wall in the second to last corner. And that'll take both of them out of the race, and that eliminates Nika Durkistan's chances to win the Independence Trophy. Xavier Degueris here, close call here, whoa! Just misses the end of the pit road wall, and that would have been a scary incident for Degueris, who's actually had a nasty wreck before. Yeah, had one in the pro race at the beginning of the season, which was a separate series. However, Jacob Lauren, who's racing really hard with Jordan Kosovo, he's not going to miss the pit wall and hits it hard. And a pretty scary wreck here. Surprisingly, Jacob Lauren was not injured in that wreck, even though with how hard that hit was. So thankfully, Jacob Lauren was able to walk away from that. Kareem Abdul-Najjar having a decent run, running inside the top 15, and the engine lets go on lap 9. So another unfortunate day and a very rare engine failure for the Rejectcar Elite Series that's not due to a crash. So yeah, and Kareem's going to have to putter around all the way to make it back to pit road here. On the same lap here, Daisuke Hiroshimi and Jose Rodriguez racing really hard. Just outside the top 10 here. Both of them make contact, and both of them are going to go off the racetrack and into the tire wall. And that will take both of them out of the race. Hard racing just ends up in tragedy for both of them. Let's see, lap 12 here. Jake Blondie would lead the field down onto pit road for gunfight pit stops as Blondie's going to hit the pit wall. Jay Baldy in the 45 does as well, as he's gotten second place after he passed Valor Christensen here. However, 2 cars stayed out. Russ Palmer and Zeke Miller stay out an extra lap to try to gain some ground on the 15, and Zeke Miller's trying to gain ground on John Baldy Jr., so he's trying to throw an alternate strategy to see if he can gain some ground in the points. And at the end of the lap, Palmer and Miller come in to make their green flag pit stops. And there goes Jake Blondie. He's going to pass the 13 and 73 to get the lead back. And he's got a massive lead over second place. Jay Baldy, he's got a lead about 4 seconds until he ran into Eric Hawkinson a few laps later. Hawkinson is just off pace today, and he's just no damage to his car. He's just not running at full song. But that little hiccup from Jay Baldy in the hairpin Jake Blondie in the hairpin allowed Jay Baldy to take the lead away from the 15. Jay Baldy definitely wants to get his first career win bad after he's had a couple near misses in recent weeks. However, it was his turn with Eric Hawkinson, and he's going to overdrive this hairpin, and he's going to stay in the dirt. And here goes the 15 of Jake Blondie to take the lead back. So another race and another blunder with Jay Baldy throws the lead away. Man, he's going to be fuming after this stretch of races, because that's, I believe, 3 races now that he's let the lead get away from him. But Jake Blondie takes the lead back, and Keon Parker jumps up to second here as Parker would chase down the 15. And Jake Blondie would not try to pass the 18 of Eric Hawkinson, as he's going to round the final corner here. And shockingly, he's going to take his first career win in the Rejectcar Elite Series and the first win of the season. Jake Blondie scores an upset win here at Mosport. Keon Parker comes home in second. Jay Baldy falls down to third. He definitely was not happy after this race. The El Segundo Racing cars get a double top 5 for the first time this season. Axe Vocal comes home in a quiet 4th, and Joe Vivek comes home in 5th. They put on an alternate pit strategy. That's how they ended up so high in the running order. Canadian Xavier de Garis gets a top 10 for his home crowd. So congrats to him. That's his first top 10 in a number of years. Dongo Who's Your Daddy comes home in 7th. Gustavo Silva Rodriguez comes home in 8th. John Baldy Jr., 4 races and 3 top 10 finishes with a 9th place finish here. Puts him in a great spot to almost lock up the championship, but not quite. And rounding out the top 10, running a very quiet race, Jareem Abdul-Sagar for the Cigars in Paris team. And here are the point standings after 23 of 25 races. John Baldy Jr. has an 89-point gap over Zeke Miller and Garrett Banks. As we head into Talladega next week, bear in mind, the most points you can gain or lose is 60. Zeke Miller and Garrett Banks and everybody else that's not in red are over a full race of points behind the 48. They're going to need a lot of help if they're going to try to stay in contention to drive the championship to Decatur which is the final race of the year. Joey Davidson has an outside chance to stay in contention along with Gustavo Silva Rodriguez, Keon Parker, and Bryce Fencing. Other than that, everybody else from 8th on down are mathematically eliminated from the championship. But should John Baldy Jr. finish well enough at Talladega to keep at least 60 points or more, well, I should say 61 points or more over the 73 and 46, he will lock up the championship at Talladega and be crowned champion before we even head to Decatur. So everybody else is going to be gunning for the 48. But Talladega is one of John Baldy Jr.'s better racetracks. And that race is always known for a lot of attrition and a lot of wrecks. So Miller and Banks in particular are the most realistic to stay in the title hunt. However, they're going to need John Baldy Jr. to somehow fall out of the race early, and them two are going to need to finish at minimum inside the top 15 to stay in contention. So it's definitely going to be a lot of nervous people when we head to Talladega next week. But yeah, the top 7 are still mathematically eligible. Everybody from 8th on down is not. And here's a quick look at 11th through 20th in points. Not a lot of changes here. Jay Baldy's up to 13th. Max Throwing 14th. Jacob Lauren has fallen outside the top 10 for the first time this season. Let's see. Kareem is still in the top 20 despite being suspended. Tavion Cobb with his second win is now up to 17th in points. Guess who's mentioned that, even though he dropped 2 after Mosport. Sorry. Dream Abdul-Sagar 18, Dongwei Who's Your Daddy 19th, and Cooper Key is back in the top 20 for I believe the second or third time this season. So, but yeah, just wanted to give you a quick look at the rest of the top 20 in points. Now we move on to the independents. And here are the independent point standings as they head into their final race at Talladega. Wes Miller still holds the independent points lead. Tommy Salami had a realistic chance to pass him. However, he went out early at Chicago and fell short by 9 points. There's 2 drivers that are mathematically eligible to win the Independence Trophy. Wes Miller and the driver sitting in 8th place. Fat Cock St. Big Toe has a tough task at Talladega. He is 57 points out of the independent title. The only way he can take the Independence Trophy this year is he has to finish first or second. He cannot, if he finishes third, he would tie Wes Miller. However, he would lose on tiebreaker because he has no top 5s or top 10s. And Wes Miller has 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s. So the 96 will have to finish first or second to even have a chance. Well, that actually is his only chance to take the Independence Trophy. So he's going to have to be very cautious, but also fairly aggressive if he wants to make that happen. Everybody else is mathematically eliminated. Rafael Smoljanovic in the 89 is also still has 1 race to go. However, he is so far down, he has no chance to win the Independence Trophy. So yeah, next week at Talladega, it's the 220 versus the 96, and that should be a fun battle to watch. After 23 races, we are nearing the end of the Rejectcar Elite Series season. Next time, the Rejectcar Elite Series will head to Talladega Superspeedway for the penultimate race of the 2025 Rejectcar Elite Series season. This has been Gym Format for the Reject Sports Network. See you then! If you have enjoyed the Rejectcar Elite Series and want to watch more races, click here to watch the playlist of the season so far. If you want to keep up with the series and don't want to miss a race, please consider subscribing by clicking here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.